Hi, this video is a response to a comment left on the channel by Przemysław Quarter. I quite like the comment actually, because it suggested something that I've heard several times in the past, and it's always very complimentary. And it's the idea that my last name, Walker, is somehow linked to nominative determinism, and the idea that because I walk a lot, I am somehow fulfilling my destiny with the name Walker. So I thought I'd make a quick video talking about nominative determinism and talking about the etymology of my surname, which, as I've mentioned already, is Walker, so that we can have something else to think about. Because while sometimes romance is great, the truth will out, even if it's not as complimentary. So, with closely observed world, I'm Christopher Walker. So first of all, what is nominative determinism? It's a complicated pair of words, but the meaning is relatively simple. Nominative here comes from, I think it's nomos or nomon, which means name, and determinism suggests fate. And the idea is that you are fated to live the life that your name suggests. It's a lovely idea, but I don't think there's very much truth in it, because it suggests there must be some sort of power guiding things, and it would be very difficult to argue that that power works this way, especially if the word or the name itself doesn't quite mean what we think it means. Still, it's fun to look it up on Google. So for example, there's a lawyer over in the States whose name is Sue Yu. Brilliant, I love it. And there's a fireman there called, now this is my favourite one, Les McBurney. Les McBurney. What a great name for a fireman, because that's exactly what they do. But of course the name burn probably has no relationship whatsoever with the idea of fire burning. It's just a nice little coincidence. And it's a modern coincidence as well. It might not work very well in translation either. Still, it's fun to consider. And it's this issue of the heart of the meaning of a word that kind of kills the idea of nominative determinism in my case. We have to think about where surnames come from in English. A lot of English surnames were introduced to highlight the career or employment of a person. I would imagine that it probably started off with first name, then job. So you might have, I don't know, Jack the Smith, because he worked with his hands and he used tools. And that's one of the reasons that Smith became such a popular or common surname. We have a lot of Smiths. And actually, I think Smith itself, in its translated guises, is one of the most popular or common surnames in the world, certainly in Europe. Even here in Poland, Kowalski is the most common surname. Translated into English, of course, it means Smith. Examples like this abound in the English language. A lot of surnames reflect these sort of jobs. Some of the jobs themselves don't really exist anymore, but some of them we can still recognise. So you'll find a lot of tailors, spelt maybe with an I, maybe with a Y. The spelling was not standardised until relatively recently. You'll find a lot of, what could we have, bakers, I should imagine. You'll have some masons. You'll have Fletchers. Fletchers were involved in the production of bows and arrows, if I'm not mistaken. So what about Walker? Well, the romantic in me loves the idea that my long since departed ancestor was known for walking, but is that likely to be true? I would say it's not. What kind of a job would it have been to be a walker? How could you have become well known for walking at a time when everybody walked? There were no motorized vehicles in the 12th century when the name first emerged. So how likely is it that my antecedent was named that way because of going off walking. If anything, that's proof against it. If you go off walking all the time, you don't have like this settled nature, you're not part of a community, so people wouldn't even give you a name at all. Yeah, some sort of vagabond or tramp, if anything. So what was a walker? Well, this is where it gets interesting and frankly a little bit less romantic. So let's think about the sort of industry that was around at the time of the emergence of this name. Now, obviously people have always worn clothes. Clothes have to be made. To make clothes you need some raw materials and you need to treat those raw materials. Often the treatment of these raw materials would involve in some way treading or pressing down on the raw materials, the raw fibres of cloth, in a similar practice to what you might imagine with people on a vineyard pressing the grapes. So walkers then, and the related job of fullers, were responsible for walking on the fabric. They would often sit, sometimes I suppose they would stand, and they would simply press their feet up and down on the fabric to do a couple of things. First of all, to mat the fibres together to make the cloth thicker and more robust, and also a bit of waterproofing would go on. And also there might be some connection here, I suppose, with adding colour, or at least taking the colour away. Maybe if you wanted something more like a white or a linen colour, ecru, you might need to walk something in. Now, we wouldn't just walk on the cloth, of course, or on the fibre. No. And this is where it gets a little bit less romantic. For you see, you need a chemical agent. And this was, of course, in a time when most chemical agents, like soap, had yet to be discovered or invented. But the general principle of using ammonium was well known, had been for a long time. Where do you get this ammonium from? Urine. And that was the job of the walker. Urine would be poured over the fabric and the walker would sit there walking the fabric, pressing the urine in, squashing it, squeezing it with their feet, and producing the almost finished article, which could then be crafted into clothing. It was an important job, don't get me wrong. But I can't imagine doing a long day's work that way, coming home to my adoring wife and saying, "Oh, I've had such a day. Any chance of a foot massage?" One can only imagine what it was like to have that liquid oozing over your feet as you worked. Ugh. So whilst I really wish that nominative determinism was right in this case, the historical facts don't really bear it out. And I don't think we can go with the romantic notion that a walker was known for walking, just as I might be today. Fortunately, as an English teacher, I don't really have to deal with the same urine-based content on a day-to-day basis. And I don't teach little kids either, so there's no chance of an accident that way. Or at least the chances are only minimal. So there we go. Thank you very much, Przemysław, for your insightful and interesting comment that spurred the creation of this video. It's been fun thinking about it again. I looked up the etymology of the name a while ago, but it was good to look it over again and to see something that I'd missed before, which is that in history the name probably originated in Germany, and when it came to the British Isles it was localized up in Yorkshire, which is a part of the country that I don't know very well, but I have a feeling that some of my family is from that area. I've always been very romantically inclined towards Yorkshire. I think this gives me another reason to want to go back sometime. Well, until next time, thank you very much for watching. If anything comes to mind that you'd like me to talk about, leave a comment, get in touch. Until next time, thank you. Bye bye.